Hello, everybody, and welcome back to That Real Texas Team podcast, episode 68 here on the channel. I'm the host of the channel. My name is Curtis Brown. With me, as always, my resident co-hosts, Mike, aka the Black the, the Black Mr. Clean. Follow him and support him across all social medias at Mass3 Productions. Do the same thing for our main man, Chris, down here, the third member of our team. He's also the podcast host of That's Crazy Podcast and Talk across all social medias. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Do the same thing with Mike. Do the same thing here because we're still at 250, and I'd like to see that number keep jumping up. Gentlemen, how are we doing tonight?
Everything is awesome.
Everything's great.
It's cool. Part of a team. Yeah. No copyright. No copyright. Okay.
Yeah. Shut up, Lego. You're not getting me.
Nah, everything's cool. Like I said, I'm feeling great about the changes the Texans are actually doing. Guys, we're a real football team.
Yeah.
Unlike the Cowboys. I said it.
I mean, you're right. You're right.
Brother-in-law, I'm sorry, but I had to say it. I couldn't hold it in anymore. Because y'all are having it hard right now. You don't have a real football team, and your basketball team's trading away Luka for a bag of peanuts and a cripple. Yes, I said it. It sucks to be in Dallas.
When I heard about that Luka trade, I was so inebriated. I didn't think it was real.
Bro, I was sober and didn't think it was real. Oh, damn dummies. It feels good to be in Houston.
Yeah, that was so like, and then their reasoning. I know this is not Texans related or whatever, but their reasoning was so atrocious. It's ridiculous.
And they said he was gaining weight.
The Houston Rockets would have traded for Luka. Like, are you kidding me? They would have traded for Luka. I don't care if they're number 2. They would have traded for Luka.
Every team in the league would trade for Luka. But it's cool. It's cool. The Lakers winning again.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about this former LA guy.
We're talking about a former LA guy, not a newly LA guy. Yeah. That guy being new offensive coordinator Nick Caley, former passing game coordinator and tight ends coach for the Los Angeles Rams. And now he brings the McVay system to Houston. So, gentlemen, how are we feeling on the initial hiring of Nick Caley?
I'm feeling cool. I'm good. I'm good with it. Like, the fact of it is, we're making some changes. It is making changes. That, guys, I know that was one of the things I asked for. I was one of those people that was all part of me would have been okay with keeping Bobby as long as there was some changes made around. But shit, D'Amico said, "Nah, bro, we got to overhaul some stuff." And from what I'm,
D'Amico.
Oh, I'm pretty sure.
Are you sure somebody didn't tell D'Amico in his ear like your boy needs to go? You know, they might have told D'Amico your boy needs to go.
Bro, that last press conference that he had. Well, he said, "Nah, I'm going to take about a week to think about it. And God forbid if it wasn't exactly a week, Bobby Slowick was fired."
Yep.
If anything, maybe there was a conversation that had already been had about it.
That's how because it's not like literally all of the sports channels were talking about how Houston fans was like, Bobby needs to go.
Bro, but fans don't control shit. Or Jerry Jones would have been gone.
But that just shows you how much everybody knew he should have been gone. If the fans can see everything that he's doing, and I can't say, I'm not glad for the man losing his job, but I am glad he is gone from Texas because there were no changes whatsoever. Just none. The same. You saw the same things you saw last year. They always try to go for the big play. And that's my issue. They're always trying to have CJ go for the big play. We know he can throw the ball.
Bro, but I'm going to be honest. The big plays were less this year. We had less big plays this year. I don't even think that was us always going for the big play. I think it was just people caught on. There's been rumors of hey, he didn't change shit from last year.
What we like to me.
So D'Amico said, "I'm gonna make a change," and
Yeah.
I'm not upset with the guy that he brought in. I'm not at all. Like I said, if nothing else, he's still taking a chance on young talent, a guy that's pretty widely recognized. And we didn't David Culley this shit.
No. No.
This was a guy some other teams wanted, so I'm okay.
Yeah. For me, it was kind of questionable. I felt like we needed to get somebody with play calling experience, and coming from Sean McVay, you're not going to get that. You get that by going other places where Sean McVay isn't and calling plays. But
But and that's the thing, Curtis. I'm gonna be honest. I was in that same boat till I sat down and thought about it. Who the hell else? If a guy has play calling experience, he probably got fired for not being good at play calling. Because if you're good at play calling as an offensive coordinator, your next step's a head coach.
I mean, that's true, but some former offensive coordinators get promoted to head coach, and it doesn't work out well. But the play calling wasn't the problem. They don't do great at the rest of the coaching part. They're not
And
head coaches.
but it's not very many. Chip Kelly might be the only person that actually applies to.
Doug Peterson.
No, Doug Peterson, even his play calling was looking bad. He gave away the play calling
2 years ago.
last year in Jacksonville. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah.
He gave it away a while ago because he wasn't good at it anymore. He lost his. That's what I think is going to happen to Chip Kelly. There's a lot of people who thinks he's going to bring that same magic he had before. Bro, it might be gone.
It might. But look, let's dig into a little bit more about Nick Caley, find out more about the man. Let's talk about his history. Spending his first 10 years of his coaching career in the college football ranks, starting out at John Carroll as a student assistant in 2005, then to
And
Akron,
that school.
then to Akron in 2006, 2007 as a graduate assistant. Then Auburn in 2008 as an administrative assistant, Iowa State as a graduate assistant in 2009 to 2011, Iowa State, Eastern Illinois in 2012, he was the secondary coach. In 2013 at Arkansas, he was again a graduate assistant. Florida Atlantic in 2014, he was the secondary coach. With the New England Patriots in 2015 to 2016, he was an offensive assistant. The New England Patriots promoted him to tight ends coach in 2017, and he held that till 2019. 2020, he's tight ends and fullbacks coach until 2021, where he goes 2022, where he goes back to just being a tight ends coach. Goes to the Rams in 2023, becomes the tight end coach. 2024, tight ends coach and passing game coordinator until today, where he is now the Houston Texans offensive coordinator. Of those stops, I think the college stays are probably the most important. Not because he got to work with the guys that are currently in the NFL or whatever, but I feel like he would probably have a pretty keen eye on like scouting and knowing what is going to work well in his system and how to get the best out of the guys. Because usually college players are not quite as egotistical as an NFL player might be.
No.
So
And being the fact that he must interview amazing because he continued to get jobs. Like he continued to get jobs. And either that or he had a great recommendation that just followed him around everywhere.
Yeah.
That actually makes me feel a little bit better for a guy that keeps working.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Chris, how does the history of Nick Caley make you feel?
So As far as the history goes, have no problem with that because we don't know what he can bring, and I'm also excited about him being a young guy coming in because that's the new wave in the NFL. Any sport is copycat league. You copy. Just look at the NBA. Everybody shoots threes now, but this NFL is copycat league. Go after the young guys. You got to give them a chance. I have no problem with him giving him a chance. I also think it might benefit him and CJ to work together because you're going to have, how do I put this? I'm not exactly sure how I want to put this, but you're going to have, I think he can learn something from CJ, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. Probably had
to
pray.
Being said, I have high hopes for the offense. Not mad about it. Didn't really want Chip Kelly anyway. I know they won the national championship, but I would have won a national championship also if I was the offensive coordinator of that team.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to be funny, but that team would cost it. And mind you, I can't call plays to save my life. I'm one set to be understood. Can't call plays, never call plays, never want to call plays, and I could have won the national championship with that team.
Like I said,
they were incredible.
Something I even hate that I have to steal something I heard from our good friend Cody Stoops. One of the biggest advantages he has over Slowick, one, he has a lot more experience than even Slowick did.
Yeah.
And then two, something that he said, and I hadn't thought about it till you said it. Nick, he's been a leader of men. He's like Bobby Slowick's never coached a position. He's never had a group of guys that he was responsible for what they did on the field. Yeah. Being offensive coordinator was his first time doing it. Nick Caley's done that multiple times. Yeah. He was in New England when Gronkowski was going the fuck off. Yep, he can say that was me.
Yeah.
He can say this, Tyler Higbee for the Rams. Did we even know who the hell this guy was a couple years ago?
No.
He's looked good the last 2 years.
When Bobby Slowick, actually, let me scratch this. Let me start again. When DeMeco Ryans got hired, I knew that this was going to create a perpetual problem at the offensive coordinator spot.
Mm-hmm.
You got a defensive-minded head coach. That's great. Your defense is always going to be in the same system. It's going to plug and play. It's going to look clean.
Mm-hmm.
The offense is going to change every 2 years.
It doesn't have to if you do it correctly.
It doesn't have to change a whole lot if you do it correctly, but it does have to change. And a lot of the times when you have a defensive-minded head coach like DeMeco, like a Robert Saleh, like Bill Belichick,
mm-hmm.
you have these new offensive coordinators come in, they change shit up, they get hired to go be head coaches. Or they fail and you fire them, in which case you're still changing the thing every year or two.
Mm-hmm. But you're correct in that. But let's be honest. When we hired DeMeco, did we think our offense was going to be a high-powered offense?
I mean, we didn't know shit about shit.
We never knew that we were going to get a guy named CJ Stroud and our offense was going to be a problem, like a good problem. We had no idea.
No,
we hired a defensive coach to tighten up. We knew when we hired DeMeco, we knew if nothing else, our defense was going to be nails.
Yeah.
But the way that we have to think about this is sort of the way that Sean McVay has. We just got to think about it a little bit differently. My thought process, and if everything went how it was supposed to, Bobby Slowick was going to be great these 2 years. Then he was going to go get a head coaching job, and Gerard Johnson was going to take over for him, having understudied for him for 2 years. Yeah. And then Gerard Johnson was going to be good for 2 years, and Case Keenum was going to take over after that. That was the thought process that I thought was going to happen. It still can, because they just announced it today. Gerard Johnson's still going to be here. He's staying.
Cowboys.
Do what?
But he said it sounds like the Cowboys, but it works that way. When you got a good defense and your head coach's specialty is defense, it works. But when you have it the other way around where your coach doesn't really specialize in any, you remember that Eagles team last year when he lost both his offensive and defensive coordinator?
Yep.
They sucked ass, didn't they?
Yep.
Do you see that coach in Detroit? Do you see him sweating bullets?
Probably.
He lost his offensive defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
So I would rather my head coach be good at something.
Sirianni is an offensive-minded coach.
And I was going to also say they needed. There were pieces that they actually put together for this season to make them better. Not just Saquon, but their defense is a lot. Their defense, they got to work because their defense was bad last year.
But they had talent last year. Most of their team was the same. They didn't draft a whole bunch of guys. They didn't bring a whole bunch of guys in on their defense. It was Jalen Hurts not being the same. It was Jalen Hurts not being the same guy he was the year before.
He still ain't the same guy now.
But he's better than he was last year. The guy that was calling plays for him the year that everything was bad, we interviewed that guy. We interviewed him.
Well, I think I tell him more this year. No, I'm just. I mean, I don't mean it like that, but I'm just from the head because I don't know. See, because the Eagles team, that's a hard one to use just because of the simple fact they got Saquon Barkley and they kind of changed their whole team.
No, bro. They had top level receivers last year. They had a top level offensive line last year. Saquon is the one thing that they added, but they also ran the ball more this year because there was a new offensive coordinator. That was his focus. You know who that guy was? It's Kellen Moore.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was.
Who comes in? He comes in with a run focus. You remember when Dallas's offense was at its best? Yep. When Kellen Moore had a run-focused offense there.
Yeah.
It's something to say about running the damn ball. Shit, we looked our best when we ran the goddamn ball.
That's true. All right, so I'm looking, and this is a good spot to go ahead and segue here, but what he brings to this Texans team is a high-tech Shanahan offense offshoot. McVay learned under the Shanahan tree his photographic fucking memory and then the ability to problem solve. McVay made improvements to the Shanahan system that a lot of people didn't really see coming. But last year, looking statistically here, this is probably one of Matt Stafford's worst years. He did miss a couple games, but he had 3,700 yards, 20 touchdowns to 8 interceptions. Garoppolo came in and it looked like he lost one game, but he threw for 334, 2 touchdowns and a pick. The running game looked phenomenal. Kyron Williams, almost 1,300 yards. They did not have a 1,000-yard receiver last year. Puka Nacua was 10 yards away from 1,000. Cooper Kupp got 710, and he missed 6 games. Then it was Tutu Atwell. I think coming here with this system, knowing what's already on the roster, not even talking about the people that we could re-sign or bring back in free agency, just what's guaranteed to be here next season, I think he's in a better spot.
Yep.
Because
Matthew Stafford's 37 years old.
Yes. But he also he was 10-6 as a starter this year. Let's see. They started the season 1-4 and finished 10-7.
Now, part of that is something that I've noticed. When you have an older quarterback, they start slow. Almost all of them do. Even Aaron Rodgers, as much as I hate his guts, started slow. But towards the end of the year, he looked a little bit more like Aaron Rodgers we expected to. But that man's washed.
Yeah.
Kirk Cousins started slow.
Didn't finish the season either.
No, he wasn't hurt. They just, as you say, you know what? We're losing anyway. We drafted this quarterback, like, was it number 9 in the first round? We got to figure out, did we make a mistake? So they put him in there. They were like, well, shit. Looks sort of like what Kirk Cousins did. Why am I paying Kirk Cousins all this money?
Yeah.
Derek Carr, older quarterback.
Well, he had a hot start to the season, though.
Yeah. But Derek Carr is
Sure.
34. 33 going on 34. He's younger.
He's 33 going on broken.
He's a car. They
Yeah.
break down.
Real fast. I think that there's something to be gleaned from a little bit of an underperforming Rams team. Injuries plagued this team early on. At one point, it was Matt Stafford versus the world, and then I think Puka missed a couple games in there. This could potentially be the best version of the Shanahan/McVay system to have ever touched the field in Houston. All it really takes is a couple offensive linemen and CJ Stroud to relax. In the words of Aaron Rodgers, relax. Exactly. Thank you. Relax. I'm so fucking curious about what we're going to do in free agency and everything, especially what Nick Caley's going to want. What he would have interesting roles for some of the guys on this team, like Brevin Jordan.
Ooh.
We know what he can do with the Tyler Higbee. We know that they've had a couple other tight ends there.
You think he can make Dalton Schultz block?
I don't know about all that. He's not a worker. But let's talk about some realistic expectations. We're not expecting this man to come in and walk on water. But with well, fair enough. But compared to Bobby Slowick's second season, where it seemed like nothing was going right, and yet we still got the same exact total of wins from his first year. So is it wrong of me to think that the floor, as far as expectations go, has to be maintained 10-7 or better?
You do 10-7. This is supposed to be an upgrade. They got to at least do 10-7. You wouldn't be mad at 10-7 because it's a new OC.
But 10-7 is definitely the floor. I could agree with that because we know D'Amico's still going to be D'Amico. He's going to be – his defense is going to – I don't expect his defense to get worse. I actually expect him to get a little better as they get healthy because we weren't even healthy this year, and this defense was a problem. Yeah, that's 10-7 being the floor. I can see that. But that's a successful floor if we're talking about anything. Like Chris, you literally just said it. A 10-7 is very successful with a new offensive coordinator. We expect some hiccups. We expect some bumps and bruises. We expect a lot.
Yeah.
But a little at the same time. Like, Caley has been given the keys to a Lincoln Navigator. We didn't give him the keys to a Ford Exploder.
Right.
We gave him the keys to a very nice vehicle. All he really has to do is just drive it and maintain it.
Yeah.
But if you can decide we can improve it a little bit, and I can get a little bit more miles per gallon out of there. I can get you a little bit more horsepower. Really? That's probably how he went into the interview. He said, y'all don't have a bad offense, but I could get so much more out of it.
Yeah. And
That's really what I was thinking of when you started talking about the high tech Shanahan, because that's what Sean McVay did. He brought that Shanahan. He tweaked it and turned it his own way. And with thinking what Sean McVay does with that, go look at Kevin O'Connell. He did the same damn thing. He took the McVay system and twisted and turned it and tweaked it to where, bro, Minnesota looked like they had a fucking offense with Sam Darnold.
Yep.
The hell?
Mm-hmm.
He got Kirk Cousins paid again.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's got to be doing. I'm excited if every person that leaves the McVay system tweaks it and churns it to work with the personnel that they have. Oh, like you said, this will be the best form of that system that we've seen. It will be.
Yeah. I mean, if the floor is 10-7, that means the realistic, ceiling is what?
12-5, 13-3,
13-4. But yeah,
13-4. I'm sorry. Yeah, they keep adding games on me.
Yeah. Well, they've been recently talking about the 18th game, informal conversation, but
I'm a season ticket holder. I'm not that upset. It's gonna means I got more games to go to for the same price. Yeah, try me.
Lock and load, baby.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think that realistically we can expect that he's going to try to bring the big play element back
Because it was gone.
It did not exist. There was no existing big play element, unless his name was Nico Collins. And realistically, you can't survive off just one person doing big plays.
Bro, you making me cry that Tank's really not gonna play here.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what Tank is. Tank is a big play waiting to happen.
Yep.
I think Bobby Slow tried to turn our Lincoln Navigator into a piece of shit.
A jalopy.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. He wrecked that sumbitch into the wall and put it in the driveway and was like, "Here you go. By the way, I'm going to be back in a couple days for these rims."
I want Bobby to be successful.
Why?
What? I do.
I want him to go back to PFF.
Yeah, that's the best place for him. But I want him to learn from his fuck ups.
Yeah.
But I didn't want him to be successful here. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I feel like with any OC. Yeah. I feel like with any OC that we're going to have, if they're successful, they're gone. If they're terrible, they're gone. It's just going to be weird for CJ in the long run, unless we can keep similarity.
That's why I said the Gerard Johnson thing is a big deal.
Yep.
It's a really big deal.
It is.
And I think Gerard, if anybody, he's the one person that if he was to become an offensive coordinator, he might hang around longer.
Yeah. It's true.
He might be a 4-year guy no matter how successful, because him
being so young.
Well, not just him being so young. Him and CJ, they've been friends since CJ was 16.
Yeah, that's fair. Well, let's pivot. Let's pivot a little bit. Leaving the Los Angeles Rams, Nick Caley has ties to some other guys in LA, clearly. One such name is Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp commands quite a hefty salary cap price, $20 million each season. There's been links to the Texans because of Nick Caley. We don't obviously really have the cap space for that, especially if we're going to try to address literally anything else. And then, of course, Diggs. And Mike, I want you to explain to everybody the cap situation that you were talking about with Stephon Diggs.
Yes. Y'all do know from the fact that we changed and augmented his contract, we developed $16 million in dead cap from Stephon Diggs. Now, that dead cap number can be adjusted if we re-sign Diggs. If we re-sign Diggs to another contract, that dead cap will be spread over the length of what his previous contract would have been an additional 3 years.
Yeah.
So we'd be able to spread that 16 years of 16 million of dead cap over 3 years. So to a point, it would give us over, doing the math correctly, 8-9 more million in salary cap if we were to sign him for, say, 15 million. We'd only be paying him close to like 6 million. Well, actually, no, actually, we'll be paying him 9 million instead of 15, 16 million. Now, and that's saying that we sign him for a 1 year, 15, 16 million deal. Let's say he signs let's say he signs a 10 or 11 million for a 1 year deal. Or even better. It's the same thing. We get cap savings just by bringing him back because we're the team that changed his contract to not cut him. It ends up sort of being like we almost restructured his contract as opposed to cutting off years.
Yeah. It's interesting. And it does add some interesting wrinkles. That does mean that if we bring back Diggs, we would be able to make some other moves. In my opinion, that puts him on the higher priority list than Cooper Kupp. I don't really want Cooper Kupp. I don't know that he's got it anymore. I think his body's fail him.
Let me ask you, if you both of you guys, Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs, you can only get one. Who would you choose?
Stephon Diggs.
See, he didn't even hesitate. Curtis, what about you?
Yeah, it's Diggs. Diggs has been consistent, and he doesn't get hurt that often.
This is his first major injury his whole career.
Yeah. So I'm saying, it's like Cooper Kupp's been hurt a lot. He's only played in 12 games each of the last 3 seasons. Coming off of that crazy Super Bowl run, he's just not been the same version of himself. He's also older than Stephon Diggs, if I'm not mistaken.
It's about like 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, I thought Diggs was old. Diggs really actually isn't that old.
No, he's like, what, 31 going on 32?
Yep.
Yeah.
I thought he was 34. Like what's his name for Tampa Bay?
Oh, Mike Evans.
Mike Evans done messed around and got old on me fast.
He's not 34. No.
Oh, the man has 11 years. Is it 11 or 12 years of 1,000-yard seasons in a row? He's got to be 33, 34 at least.
He's 31.
He's 31 as well?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, he lost a step.
Well, he missed like 6 games last year.
And still got 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
That's some bullshit there. Mike Evans was one of the greatest of all time then. Fuck that.
Trying to see. Yeah, 11 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. He's
greatest of all time.
Currently 12,684 yards, 105 receiving touchdowns, 836 receptions.
I wanted that guy at one point. I really did.
Oh, we all did. The moment there was an opportunity for him to leave Tampa, I was like, oh, come on.
Come home. Come home.
It'd be nice.
That man's from Galveston. It's close enough.
Right? I'm sorry. He missed 3 games last year and got 1,004 yards.
Still pretty good. Goddamn good. Especially with Baker Mayfield throwing you the ball.
Right. But look, there's other Rams that could be potential free agents this year, depending on what the Rams do. Are there any Rams in particular that you wouldn't mind Nick Caley influencing to make the transfer over to Houston?
Somebody that I think I might like over Kupp, Demarcus Robinson.
Interesting.
He'll be cheaper.
Well, yeah.
Slightly younger. And if I'm Cooper Kupp, I'm actually upset at Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua being so nice is the reason why they're willing to cut him. They paid him that contract because they were willing to pay him at one point.
Cooper Kupp is 31.
Damn.
Yeah.
So no, but we're comparing apples to apples for real then. Him and Diggs. Damn. I'm still, the answer's still Diggs, but I mean, damn.
Demarcus Robinson is 30 years old.
See, slightly younger.
Yeah,
But he'd definitely be less expensive.
absolutely.
I don't think Cooper Kupp has the ego to say I'm a number one receiver. And from what I'm figuring out about D'Amico can deflect and shrink that shit down in a minute. Because Stephon Diggs, I didn't even know that man had that level of well behaved.
Mm.
He was never a problem here the entire year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that man's saying, I want to come back. And it's not about the money. It's not about the money. That man's just literally like, I want to come back.
Yeah. Yeah. D'Amico is definitely a one of a kind leader of men. And that's why I'm like, when people started ragging on him for defending Aziz, I'm like, what do you want him to do? Throw his guy under the bus? No.
Not when that is his guy.
Yeah.
That's not like, this is not one of the guys. And I think D'Amico would probably be like that with every guy on this roster. But him and Aziz literally have history.
Yeah.
Aziz would not be a Houston Texan if D'Amico was coaching for somebody else.
Yeah, it's true. Well, look, I think this is a good spot to go ahead and wrap this one up. Chris, do you have any closing comments at all?
I really don't. I'm sorry, guys. Like, I'm here and I'm listening. Just a lot of stuff going on over here. But no, I mean, everything you guys said was right on point with everything that's going on here. So, okay. So number one, I know we're talking about the receivers, and like I said, I agree it should be Stephon Diggs. If they want to, if you're going to pay a receiver a bunch of money, you know what you do? You figure out cap money and figure out a way to get a Garrett Wilson or a damn what the other dude name is. I know we probably can't afford him. I'm just saying.
T. Higgins?
Or T. Higgins before you go after a Cooper Kupp. Because I know y'all are in those Facebook groups, man. I just don't see the fascination of Cooper. Does nobody know what his like people must really don't. And these people be posting like they know everything about football. And my whole thing is, do y'all really know what y'all are talking about? Do y'all know what our cap is at right now? You literally have to restructure Stephon Diggs' you re-sign him to free up cap money.
We're in a bad shape. We are in bad shape, cap.
We're in bad shape because we were going for it. Now, of course, things could get moved around. You know, we got this stupid, expensive offensive line that ain't shit. So, you know, maybe you can get some movement done there.
By Shaq Mason.
Oh, exactly. But as far as I feel, like I said, I'm happy with the OC job. I didn't want Chip Kelly anyway. Me personally, didn't want Chip Kelly. And also, that dude ain't got to bring nobody with him. If it ain't an offensive lineman, I don't want him. Like, if you want to be honest, we need offensive linemen. I hear this about receivers can't get separation. Cool, that's great. We still need offensive linemen.
With that being said, I want to bring up one other name before we completely run away from this. New Orleans gonna be rebuilding in a minute, ain't they?
They can't. They're like negative 60 million in cap.
Yeah, but that's my point. At some point, you got to give this shit up.
I mean, they
Chris
literally
Olave?
Can't give nobody up. Who they gonna give up that we can take on? They're
no. Chris Olave.
What's this, his third year coming up? He's gonna want to get paid.
Yeah, yeah, that actually is an interesting point. There are some other pieces in New Orleans I wouldn't mind getting my hands on, but it wouldn't be on offense. I wouldn't hate bringing in like Cam Jordan
to let him end his career here.
Yeah, I mean, realistically, he's not moving that far away from New Orleans to go to play in Houston, and then
that much closer. Yeah.
And then
6.5 hours.
Yeah, And then he's on a better team that's, instantly a contender. I'm trying to think of other guys. Marcus May, is he still there?
Yep.
I wouldn't mind Marcus May, at least as a depth piece. I don't think he's quite played starting caliber ball because of injuries, but
But look what we did with Derek Barnett.
yeah.
That's what I think about. It's like, look what this defense. Derek Barnett, if he doesn't come back to the Texans, it's because somebody else paid him really well.
Yeah, it's true. But yeah, so with that being said, good spot to go ahead and put a button on this one. Gentlemen, thank you for coming on and talking Texans ball with me. Folks, go ahead, head on over to Chris's podcast. That's Crazy Podcast and Talk. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Do the same thing across all the social media platforms for Mike at Mastery Productions. And then do the same thing here on this channel. Like, subscribe, notification bell. And be on the lookout for some new forms of content coming from this channel. So go
We got some
Texans.
things for y'all.
That's
We
right.
got some things for y'all.
We do. Coming down the pike. Go Texans and fuck the Cowboys.